Greetings and welcome to Cosmic Kev 100, and shall we begin? And thank you, my friends, for all your comments and greetings. Om, 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 Om Gam Ganapatiye Namaha, Om Gam Ganapatiye Namaha, Om Gam Ganapatiye Namaha, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Brahmamir Striparan Takare, Banushashi Bamisito, Buddhasha Gurusha Shukra, Shani Rahu Keteva, Sarve Graha Shantikara Bhavantu. Om Buddhaya Namaha, Om Gurave Namaha, Om Shukraya Namaha, Om Namah Shivaya. Hang on for a second here. Okay, I have been found, and welcome to Cosmic Kev 100, your weekly astro video zine, and this one is for Friday, April 25th through Thursday, May 1st, 2025, so we're wrapping up April here, folks, and let's look at what's going on. So today, the moon is in the constellation of Pisces, and the sun would be in the constellation of Aries. Now, this is the Vedic astrology version of Cosmic Kev 100. And when the sun's in Aries, it is exalted. So we're still in an Ashvini sun, the celestial healers of the zodiac, and they're here to rescue, to fix things, to help, and help is on its way. Now, as far as the moon goes, the moon is in Uttara Bhadrapada, which is a Saturn-ruled nakshatra. It's a Saturn-ruled lunar mansion. And it is the second to last nakshatra, and it's about the funeral pyre. And it's the end of the funeral pyre. And it's ruled by Adhir, which is known as the serpent of the deep, because in a lot of ways the sky is like an ocean and kind of swirls around, and a lot of things happen because we're under this one sky, so to speak. I mean, there's signs. I mean, everything's under the will of the Creator who made the stars and skies. I don't think that anything acts independently. God gave us the sun for the day and the moon and stars to guide us by night. That is what Scripture says. So people get fundy on me. There's some really weird stuff out there. That's all I can say. And I think most people just want the good intention that your soul would be saved, that you'd be in eternal bliss. And I wish that for everyone too. We're all going to have to learn. But going back to Adhir Bunya, and in Western astrology, it's the beginning of an Aries moon. But here, this whole thing of Pisces and this end, and sort of like this judgment in the funeral pyre. It's a Saturn-ruled nakshatra. Saturn is our vata, and our ether energy. It's also about our limits. It's about discipline. It's about consistency. It's about moving slowly. Most people that have a moon or rising sign in Uttara Bhadra or Uttara Bhadrapada, they have grandchildren, they're not as quick to judge. It's not quite as combustible and harsh as maybe Purva Bhadrapada is in some ways. So, but there's a lot of deep mysteries and stuff that come up here in Uttara Bhadra or Uttara Bhadrapada for this particular day. Now, in Western astrology, of course, we've got an Aries moon, and the sun is in Taurus now. And Taurus is about being satisfied, it's about what you have. Aries is kind of about being attracted to new life and moving forward with that new life. And since the moon and Venus are kind of close together today, or in the, it's like there is, even though there may not be in the same signs in Western astrology, they are in Vedic, it's that, we're in this place where we came to the world to love, and that's important to know about that. And sometimes we want to be courageous in love. Now, tomorrow the moon will be in Ashvini, but it won't be new yet. It'll be new on the 27th, which is Sunday at I think 12:31 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time, and it'll have just gotten into the next nakshatra, which is Bharani. So, we'll be moving forward into Bharani energy, which is extremely youthful with this new moon, and its symbol is the yoni, and its ruling deity is Yama, known as the god of death. And, the story about Yama is the story of the son, Surya, his wife Prajna, and how Prajna left to go on a retreat and left her shadow to keep Surya, her husband, company. Well, Surya and Chela, the shadow wife, made love, and he thought it was Prajna. He didn't know she was gone, and, according to the legend, anyhow, Saturn was born. And Saturn deals a lot with people that are left out, that people are in injustice. Now, later on, Prajna comes back, looks at Chela, sees she's pregnant, and is like, oh my God, this was not part of the contract. You were not supposed to necessarily sleep with my husband and do all these things, so I just want you out of my life, basically. And Surya, you were a bad husband. You should, but I didn't know. She's like, done. You should have known. Anyhow, Saturn grows up, gets to about 7, maybe 8 years old, and says, hey, to Surya, why have you not been supporting me and my mother? You're my father. That's what, and okay, an incredible injustice was done. We need to support our children, mother and father, in this modern context, particularly fathers. And in this way, Surya and Chani, which is the name of Saturn, they have this relationship with each other. They're actually the most consistent grahas, and they really pack the most weight of authority. And so Surya says to Chani, I said, you know what, son, you are absolutely right. I should be supporting you, and you called me on my dark side, on what I've done wrong, and I am so sorry, and I'm going to start giving child support to your mother and you. And then young Lord Cheney goes over to Prajna, the Surya's wife, and says, why did you forbid him for helping us? That's horrible. You are supposed to be my stepmom. You helped create this situation by creating Chela and ultimately creating me. Why did you not support me? And he's like, oh, she was like my son. That's devastating. I'm sorry. I was just jealous we hadn't had a child yet. I will allow Surya and myself to support you and do the right thing. Okay. Fast forward, very soon afterwards, Prajna gets pregnant with Surya, and they have a son. The son is Yama. Yama is a god of death. Yama is youthful. He's probably a little bit spoiled, because this is the royal family's kid, in a legitimate, open way. Since Bharani is the yoni, the birth canal that we all come through, unless you're, cesarean birth, and Yama is a god of death. Every birth is a death. Every death is a birth. Nobody goes away without leaving something in return. In a world where people don't believe in life after death or the soul, physical death is a very frightening thing, but it really makes no sense, because in science, everything that has an action, there's an equal and positive reaction. So there is no death, other than a shadow to what life is. and there is no life other than a shadow to what death is, and so that's why we say. And Bharani is about our youthfulness. I mean, it's all within the constellation of Aries still. And so it won't really be Moon won't be in real Taurus until Monday, later in the day, when the Sun goes into Kritika, and later part of Kritika, probably Monday night. And so what we're looking at, and that'll feel good. We'll feel more exalted in every way at that point. But, because Aries is Mars rule, and because it's a Venus ruled nakshatra, here is the passion. Here is the play that makes lovemaking, it makes life, it makes our obsessions for anything that we like to do. And that's what Bharani is. So it's really important to just have like a meditation on this new moon. Good day to go to church, if you're a believer and that's the day you celebrate. I mean, I have respect for the reasonings behind all faiths, and I find the ego superiority complex that leads to judgment of others is not really helping your spiritual cause in any way. But I understand the sincerity in people's hearts, We want everyone happy. We want everyone healthy. We want everybody on salvation. We want everyone to do the right thing. And it's just not always possible. So, with that said, this is kind of an edgy weekend where people are sort of striking out in a lot of ways. It's something to know about. So we're going to go sign by sign in the Western tradition, starting with Aries, and just go through the horoscope. So, greetings Aries, welcome to your horoscope. Now that the Mars is in your 5th house, it deals with children, it deals with creative expression, it deals with travel, it deals with being able to be a performer or a teacher. There's a lot of energy in that part of the sky for you. Now, of course, there is still, a lot of planets, including Venus, in Aries, and in the moon, and they're all going to move and be displayed. But there's a lot of concentrated energy here, and I'm just looking forward to this whole summer when all this whole concentration of energy gets a little bit alleviated, gets released. So there are other planets and other places helping us. You're functioning with the material realm. Sun's in the 2nd house. It's also about your lower jaw, having maybe dental work, family, how you speak, how your neck feels. These things take a precedence. How did you feel about yourself growing up, especially like between the ages of 7 and 14? What about you was affirmed and what was denied? And just doing some soul searching in that level. Okay. Greetings Taurus, and welcome to your horoscope. So, I mean, for Taurus, this is really like, hey, happy birthday. This is your newness, your renewal in a very legit new way. I have a lot of friends that have sun sign in the Bharani nakshatra, which is in Taurus and Western astrology, but Vedically we consider it Aries. And it's really interesting what I've noticed about them is they all have this passion for life. They really live their lives to the fullest, from what I can tell, in most every way. Some of them are pretty humble, some of them are pretty modest. I think my friend Steve, who works on bikes, he is just one of the most hardworking, passionate about what he does types of people. But it's important to sometimes occasionally get out of your lane and put yourself in a place of vulnerability. And I think a lot of times when we've got ourselves in a groove, it's hard to get out of the lane, and that's what Yama does. Yama's calling us out, and it's like, look, to live means you're going to die, and if you don't die, you're not going to live again. In the whole Christian principle, it's like you have to die, be crucified with Christ, so to speak, of all your own personal transgressions and sins, that he bore it all. But you need to let go of that to allow this new creature to live within you. And that new creature is one of love and light and positivity and healing and forgiveness. And so I find it interesting that people hold on to the pride of resentment and the pride of unforgiveness. It does not help us. We are not moving forward anywhere by that. I don't understand why. And so we have to just kind of open up ourselves to that, because our egos get attached to things, and life is full of disappointment, and life is full of injustice. That's why Saturn's here to teach us about that type of thing. I mean, Saturn right now is in Pisces, so a lot of things in the social field. We can see some injustices. Some people are getting help through the government, not getting the help, that's really hard. And so I never like it when people lose and there's not something to replace what they've lost. Sometimes that takes time. And there's a lot of movement in your house and just making your living environment more peaceful, selling your fixed assets, all these things could be helpful this week. Looking at your own personal karma, Taurus, that's important right now too. Okay, greetings, Gemini. Welcome to your horoscope. So here you are. Jupiter's in the first house. What does Jupiter do? Jupiter teaches us. Jupiter is like the writers of scriptures, the writers of the Tao, the writers of the Vedas, the writers of spiritual teachings designed to have us live a higher life. I know there's vast opinions on this. One of the things I guess is annoying to me is the teaching about how dangerous and deceptive everything is, and that things aren't that clear. And that means we're not focused on the right stuff. That's why they say only God alone can judge. That's not our job. I think we got to stay in our lane, Gemini. That's what really it comes down to. We can share the information. We can lead a horse to water, but we can't make them drink. Mercury is still in Aries. I mean, it's not going retrograde anymore, but to my mind's knowledge, that's where it is. And it's going to be there until a couple weeks almost. So keep on focusing. Be grateful for those new ideas. Be grateful for those revelations. Be grateful for your social community, your circle there. And, Taurus time is not an easy time for Gemini. It's a 12th house. There might be some loss. There might be some deception. Okay. Greetings, Cancer. Welcome to your horoscope. Most of the planets are clustered around up here, 10th house, career house, how you perform your karma for other people. And you have a lot of energy right now to help others. You have a lot of energy right now to move forward in a way you haven't been able to move forward before. And, it's interesting is that, Saturn, it's with the North Node in your 9th house. And sometimes we have to kind of turn on to some unconventional wisdom before we can learn. I'm not like a super big fan of the Catholic Church or anything, but there was this guy named Bishop Sheen. And just sometimes he would have these nuggets of wisdom. I'd watch some of his old shows and say, wow, this guy's really deep, man. He's coming from a place. A lot of times Rahu, or the North Node of the Moon, will, act like shadowy. And there's a lot of anxiety because there's not a groundedness. And Saturn, there's anxiety because he knows that, he's keeping account of everything we've done. And not everything's been perfect. We haven't always been focused. We haven't always been doing our best. I mean, doing your best all the time would be exhausting. When people say, I'm always doing my best, I'm like, are you dead? What's going on? I mean, really, it's like we always have room for improvement because we live in a living, organic world. And that's the whole thing of like all sin comes short of the glory of God. I mean, the moon is a big deal for you as a Cancer. So, we're going from career place. It's going to be sort of a socially opening beginning of the week. Mondays are big deals for Cancers. And same thing will be so on Tuesday. And then I'd say midweek, towards the end of the week, just kind of relax, let go of things, just so you can have a better week in general. All right. Greetings, Leo. Welcome to your horoscope. I mean, Mars in Leo is better than Mars in Cancer, although Mars is still in sidereal Cancer, so I don't know how much real power I would give this fresh Mars in Leo. Now, when it goes 24 degrees and, it's in Leo in both systems, I'll be like, in about another month or so, I'll be like, okay, Mars is functioning great. But, right now, I would just say, everybody kind of cool your jets. Not everything is what it seems to be. Now, if you're a July born Leo, you're able to act a lot more independently right now. You feel a lot more energy right now, and that's a good thing. There's still a lot of transformation with this eighth house and with Saturn and Venus. I mean, Venus is going to move into Western Aries this week. I think it exactly when it happens. Pardon me. It happens on Wednesday morning. So Wednesday morning, a little after 10, Venus goes into Aries. It makes you a little luckier in love, I guess, and it makes you appreciate art from different cultures and things. And Sun and Taurus, it's about beautifying things and making the workplace a nicer place for you and everyone else. Using your creative abilities. Well, greetings, Virgo, and welcome to your horoscope. So, oh boy, this is funny. Okay, do this again. Now, here where I live, let's go back to Virgo, in the northern Sacramento Valley, there's a lot of pollen in the air in the middle of spring. And so lots of people get allergies, or just little things from all these foreign little particles in the sky. And then we have man-made particles by some kind of strange appointment kind of being sprayed in the sky. And some people are in denial of that. Some people are in denial of all kinds of things that are true, but if it fits the corporate agenda, they're safe. And you're in a group that believes like you're safe. And so to be even able to discuss things with people like that's very difficult. So, minds are like parachutes. They function best when they're open. So just keep asking questions, folks. Virgo is really good at asking questions. Virgo, everything's about your relationships right now, how you relate to other people. And, I'm sort of amazed at how many ways, probably since like 9/11 or whatever, we as humans in my country, United States, have been sort of corralled into thinking, this is a good idea, just do what we say. This is a good idea, the pandemic. This is a good idea, just do what we say. This is a good idea, we're going to shut down all the beaches. We're going to, I'm like thinking to myself, it's like stopping a tidal wave by shooting bullets at it. This is not going to happen, my friends. But when people are scared enough, I'll do what you say, anything, please protect me, give me something, give me some medicine, give me, we're like, oh God, oh. The horrors of it all. I was like, well, and a lot of that too is like belief that this physicality is all we have. And when you're just in the physicality, you are not as easily able to recognize what's behind it. Now, Virgo's an earth sign. Earth is physicality. We're into that. Relationship issues, building on those, that's really important. By Wednesday, Venus goes in the 8th house, and in a couple weeks, Mercury will be there too. So there's still all this deep transformation taking place. And but the good news is Sun is in the 9th house. So, the good teachers are going to show up. The positive things are going to show up. And they're going to inspire you. And you're going to be able to move forward. Well, hello, Libra, and welcome to your horoscope. Taurus is this Venus-ruled sign that's like completely different from you. Because it's fixed. So it's kind of like in this more stubborn sphere. It's also in this place of like an incredible amount of hope. There's flowers everywhere. I mean, when the sun moves into your sign in the northern hemisphere, as leaves start changing colors, we know death is on its way. You know, it's like the sunset of the zodiac is Libra. Sunsets are beautiful. And for people that sit in, they never see sunrises, so that's all they get is a sunset. I suggest Libra, you know, getting up early and watching a sunrise and being grateful, like, wow, this is a new opportunity. And, you know, in a lot of ways, Libra is a richer sign than Taurus because the harvest has happened already. But, you know, Taurus is living in the hope. And Taurus is in your eighth house. And eighth house is other people's money, other people's property, other people's stuff. And it's interesting. It's like, I like having money, material things. What's the right way to get that? What's the right way? What's right livelihood? You know, it's a big question because there's a spiritual principle behind everything material that we own. And so for you, I would say working on your health issues, working on your relationships with others. These are what are of prime importance right now. And because Wednesday, Venus moves into your seventh house, I think we're going to get really delicious after that, really nice. Greetings, Scorpio. Welcome to your horoscope. So, you know, especially if you're Scorpio rising, Scorpio moon, Scorpio sun, you know, after that. So Mars is in the midheaven. So there's a lot of performance. There's a lot more work opportunities coming up for you, which is good, you know. Work helps pay the bills. Relationship. Taurus is your partnership sign. Taurus is the most sensual sign in the zodiac. Taurus and Scorpio is the most sexual. Taurus is the most materialistic. Scorpio is the most transformational. There's an amazing amount of creativity when these two signs get together. So, you know, the next upcoming full moon in another 2 weeks is going to, you know, another couple weeks is going to be amazing. There's going to be this apex of those kind of energies coming on. And so, I mean, for you right now, it's like transform your home space, do your best work in the workspace, help serve others, and know that there's a lot of inspiration in your relationships to be found. Okay. Greetings, Sagittarius. Welcome to your horoscope. You know, the partnership issues should be good with Jupiter in your seventh house, and that's been a long time thing. Mars is now in your ninth house, so you're ready for a great adventure. Taurus time is a lot of work. It's the sixth house, and so sometimes the people that you work with, if you're in a team project at work, they can present obstacles to you, can make things difficult. That's one of the things that sometimes happens with this. It's also like those kind of a good position if you wanted to get government work, doing the work for that. That can happen as well. Your creative vibes, because there's a lot of planets in Aries still, are really high. Energy with your children, very high right now. And you can just kind of work with that and do things you can to stabilize your home situation and your situation with your siblings and neighbors. And greetings, Capricorn. Welcome to your horoscope. So, you know, everything's on the bottom of the chart. Introspection, you know, and certainly Capricorns are known for that. And working on the inner life is actually kind of like the safest place to be because, you know, when you change the inside, that's when the outside gets so much better. And that's when you attract so much better energy. Now your partnership sign's Cancer, and we're a couple months from that happening. We are in a lot of fourth house energy, which is family, and fifth house energy, which is children. Fourth house is also parents. And so pay more attention to your children. Also pay more attention to your creative projects. Like you're capable of doing a lot of really good work right now. And since Saturn's with Rahu in the third house, it's like if you are a creative Capricorn, being more innovative with your art, your creative expression, it's going to go a long way. It's going to take you through a couple of years of success. Greetings, Aquarius, and welcome to your horoscope. So, you know, Capricorn, is is the 12th house. Taurus is the 4th house for Aquarius. So 4th house is the parents, it's the home life. And 2nd house also can deal with family a lot of times. So which is where Saturn is right now. So, making your family life and your family relationships good. When it's kind of like when we're growing up, usually our parents almost seem like obstacles to us because they've held us back and they're protecting us, or they're not giving us enough of what we need, or whatever it is. And then sometime, usually in your 40s or 50s, you realize, like, oh my God, I'm not going to have my parents with me forever. I appreciate them. Or, your kids, leave the house or whatever, and, you're kind of on your own, empty nesting, and you may not have parents anymore. And you may not realize how lonely they might have been for a period of time in their life. And so helping older people is really good karma right now, Aquarius. That's basically what I've got to say. And it's a more personal development cycle that you're on here with the Sun in Taurus. Okay, greetings Pisces, as we wrap this thing up with Saturn and North Node in the 1st house and Venus there most of the week. It is like some of your highest creative expression can be done this week. That's really cool. Saturn and Rahu. Be patient with yourself. Not everything is what it appears to be. But if you're really honest and you're working towards disciplining yourself, purifying yourself, and identifying what's real and what's not real, you're going to make it. And also with Mars in the 6th house, it's like exercising, swimming, getting in shape, getting yourself that summer body you really want. I mean, if you're 40 pounds overweight, you're not going to get that summer body until, probably next fall if you work really hard right now. And if you're 80 pounds overweight, it's going to take till next year. But if you're just like, 15, 20 pounds more than you want to carry, you can do it, man. You can get yourself in fantastic shape. And it's not just pounds, it's body fat and overall health, what you need, and everyone's different. But it's weird to me to see a culture moving people towards accepting sickness as okay, as necessary, and that people that are sick deserve special rights for being sick. There are people with special rights for being sick. They run our Congress and Senate. They run our political system. Well, you get caught up in the Maya. You get caught up in sin. You get caught up in the material world. Can't serve two masters. Money and God, you either love one and hate the other. So you have to kind of like look at that and just say, okay, is this for the greater whole? Or is this just for some ridiculous selfish ambition? Always good to check ourselves before we wreck ourselves. And thank you for being here. And may our most wonderful creative gifts come out with this new moon. Thank you for tuning in. I love you. I appreciate you. It's Cosmic Kev with the Cosmic Forecast for this week. And this new moon signing out. Om Shanti 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 Om Tat Sat.